Hi, it's Annie Meehan with AM Speaking Consulting, and I just want to say thank you for joining us once again for H3 TV, where we share stories on hope, health, and happiness. Understanding that not everyone is feeling hopeful, healthy, and happy, we have a different guest every week to share and talk about their stories, their strategies, and their ideas on those three topics. We know that when you start with yourself, make sure that you are looking back to look forward because there is always something to look forward to, and that you are taking time to take care of yourself in all 7 areas of health, let alone seeking happiness and spreading it, that it changes us. And when we change ourselves, we bring that into our workplace. And that's why I speak on H3 cultures in the workplace, because we all could use a little more hope, health, and happiness. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing and interviewing my friend Val Grubb. She's going to share with us strategies, stories, and ideas on happiness. So please help me welcome my friend Val.
Hi, good morning, Annie. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're
exactly. Good evening, depending on where you are in the world when you see this, right?
Exactly. So Val, tell us a little bit about who you are and what do you do?
Yep. So I have my own company. I've been out on my own for 13 years. I am a keynote speaker, corporate trainer, and executive coach. I focus on leadership and elevating managers to strategic leaders. So it's been a wonderful journey, and here we are. So that's it.
Awesome. I love that. Well, thanks so much for being with me and being willing to share some ideas about happiness through the holidays, happiness in life, strategies for happiness, whatever you got. We are all ears listening at H3 TV. So tell us.
I think it's a good time, right, to talk about this because of the fact that it's the holidays and everybody's telling us, you should be happy. You should be happy. Every commercial showing that. And it's like, well, maybe that's not the reality. So I thought this was a really great, I was excited to kind of talk about this. That it's not the Norman Rockwell, as you said, for everybody. So
that's right. Not everybody gets to have that. And we never want to shit on people because we all have different stories and struggles. Yep. And so how do we stay happy? So what are some of your keys to staying happy? What are 3 to 5 things you do so you can stay happy when life is hard?
Yeah, absolutely. So my number one used to be travel because I used to love exploring new places. And, that's obviously it's been a struggle in these past 2 years to not be in my happy place. And so I would say in the meantime, several things that have helped me. First off is just to brute force my mind to stop that negative rhetoric that plays in my head and really replace that with what am I grateful for right at this moment. And I call it brute force because I don't even realize it. And it's like, oh my God, that person cut me off. Oh boy, would I like to ram them with my car, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, Val, stop the rhetoric. What am I grateful? I'm arguing about the fact I'm getting unhappy about the fact that I have to walk 20 more steps. Relax. This is not an issue. I also, I got some weird things that help me stay happy, but
nothing's weird. We got it. We're open.
Not spending beyond my means. I think if nothing else over this past 20 months where, work has just really changed, particularly in my business, really getting a handle on my finances has been staggeringly helpful because when I find myself overspending, I get tense and it affects my happiness. Getting sleep. That is having enough sleep really helps me to maintain a better mood. Seeing friends again, it's just been miraculous at the change at now being able to hang out with people in person versus via Zoom. And the last I would say is really trying to do something every day or every couple days that I really like to do. Reading. I live in New Orleans, so I do a lot of glittering. I'm already glittering throws that we throw off floats for Mardi Gras. Doing things that I really love that bring me a lot of joy really helps to maintain the happiness even when things are challenging around me. So those are what help me in challenging times.
I love them, Val. I think those are excellent, not just ideas, but strategies for people when they are feeling stuck. I mean, I'll get frustrated about the security line at the airport, and then I'll be like, what is wrong with you? You get to travel. Why are you being impatient? Be happy.
Right.
Oh, I love that you said challenge your mind. I want to say I want to reiterate what Val said. She said it's a little weird. I will tell you, it is not even an ounce weird to get your finances in order and not overspend. Right before we jumped on with you guys, we talked about we have to say no to some things we want to do, some things that our friends are doing, some things that are fun, whether it's travel or a conference. But you will get really stressed out. Sometimes I talk about your financial health will make you physically sick.
100%.
I love that you said one of the things that makes me happy, it seems weird. It's not weird. It's wonderful. I love that you're wise enough to talk about this. And I think I love your sparkles because I think that's creative, right? It's like what fills you up creatively. I'm going to go glitter up the world and then I'll just feel amazing.
It's hard to be unhappy when you're glittering. When there's glitter in the air, it's hard to be unhappy. And you're absolutely right. So doing that, like I try to do it every night, even if it's just for 15 minutes, half an hour. I try to do it before I go to bed because I'm trying to set myself up to get good sleep. And if I go to bed in a positive mood, I'm less likely to wake up in the middle of the night with my mind churning about, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't get that done, like all the negative stuff that I never wake up going, wow, you're fabulous. I wake up at 3 a.m. going, dang, I didn't get this done. And so going to bed happy kind of sets me up, or doing something that I really love sets me up for success for sleep. So it's really interesting in how it's all kind of interwoven, at least for me. So
I just want to say, Val, I think that people that know you would assume you do wake up in the middle of the night and go, wow, I'm fabulous, because you are fabulous.
Oh, sadly, that is so not true.
Because you are fabulous and you have fabulous energy and you give it off. And I think that's why I created H3, is that really this is all connected: health, hope, and happiness. Right. And when you're talking, so two big things when I was a gym owner for 12 years was financial and physical health, but sleep and finances were two things that made people so sick. So I love that you say that's important and that that's part of your happiness. I think people like, oh, I don't get much sleep. No worries. No, worry. Not worry. I don't want you to, but do something about it. Set up a routine. I love that you're saying, hey, here's what I do before bed to ensure that I sleep better and rest better, and hopefully occasionally wake up and go, I am fabulous. I glitter the world.
I'm ready for that. I'll let you know when that happens, Anne.
Please do. I love that. Okay, so you kind of answered this in kind of your strategies, but life does get hard, right? And so when it feels hard, when there's a day where you don't get time, you don't get a good night's sleep, and you don't have time for creative and fun and laughter, what do you do to find happiness? Is there anything you can dig into in the midst of the challenges of life to still discover happiness?
Yeah, I guess what I kind of constantly remind myself is that life is always hard. Life is always complicated. That's the very nature of living. And we have to learn to remind ourselves every day of the positives. And we can't wait for life to be easy to be happy, because otherwise we're never going to be happy. And I will say that this has been a really, really hard year for me. My mother passed in March. She and I were staggeringly close, and I found myself in a pretty hardcore depression a couple months after that. And out of nowhere, I had this opportunity to take a trip, which was my number one sort of key to staying happy. And I just jumped on it. I jumped on it. I went on the road again. It was 2.5 weeks. Something again that my mom and I had traveled 500,000-600,000 miles together after she would turn 65. So this was really important for something that we did together, and exploring someplace new really reminded me that life was worth living. And so I would say that I think it's really doubling down on doing stuff that we love, and I would also say being with friends, because isolating ourselves when we're sad only exacerbates that feelings of not being happy. And so being with friends, particularly people we really like and love, just reminds us that that maybe this is a moment where sadness is warranted, but there is sort of a light at the end of the tunnel, which time gives us. And nobody wants to hear that while you're going through it. I don't want to hear, if I heard from one more person, it'll get better, I'm like, whatever. I just don't want to hear that when I'm really mourning my mother, but it does get better. And I think in the meantime, like I said, if we isolate ourselves, And I think that's been the double whammy we've had, right? Is this idea of this, all this stuff with COVID has required us to isolate, whether you wanted to or not, because everything's closed, and that's not good for our happiness. So I think that right now it is the time. It's been easy. Now it's like, oh God, I got to put on pants, none of which fit. Put on the sweats, get out there and go see people. Go be around folks, because this isolation, I think, has not been good for our happiness. And I think seeing people you really care about, and then doubling down on those things that you really like to do. I read more books over this last 6 months. I don't remember half of them. Actually, I don't remember any of them, to be quite honest, but it doesn't matter. It was nice to be in a faraway place. If I couldn't travel,
Yeah.
I would be in a faraway place, and that helped me to envision myself as a spy in Paris or whatever. And then it was gone, and that was fine as well, because I needed light, fluffy, the love story and all this, and that just helped me to just really sort of focusing and forcing myself to do things that I know brought me or will bring me joy, even if they aren't right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what we have to sort of commit to ourselves, that recognizing that being unhappy isn't good for our long-term health. There's lots of studies out there that really equate being unhappy with the fact that it's a shorter life. It affects your heart, it affects your lungs, your brain, everything.
Yes.
And so we've got to do those things that we love and double down on that, even when we're really, really sad. And there's good reasons for that.
That's great. I love what you said there, Val. I think there's some really quick strategies inside of it. Number one, what you really have said repeatedly, and I think this is really important for our listeners, is capture and think about your thoughts. Think about what you're thinking about what you're thinking about, what you're focusing on. I love that. I think the second thing you said, really, I always think about hope. When we feel hopeless, how do we get back to hope? And it's about looking back at our past and then looking forward. And you did that so beautifully with your mom, is that you said, here's the reality. I am freaking sad about this. And here's the other thing. Please don't tell people to not be sad. Please don't tell people it's going to get better. Let them be sad.
Right.
Please let your friends and family be sad when they're sad. Val had a very good reason to be sad. She's missing her mom. So
right.
What I would say is that you looked back to look forward. You got sad. And then you said, you know what? I miss traveling with her. So how can I do that? So you looked back and then remembered, you know what, this was a happy time. How do I keep that memory alive? So when I lost my brother, I was very sad, and people said foolish things. At times, my brother took his life, and so people said, well, at least he wanted to die. I'm like, no, nobody wants to die. Some people don't want to live anymore because life is hard. But now I say I live twice every day. I live once for me, once for him. So you get to keep your mom's spirit and memory alive, because every time you travel, you bring her spirit with you. Doesn't mean you won't be sad. Doesn't mean it won't be hard sometimes, but you are still fully alive and remembering all the beauty you had with her, and you're going to keep on living, and she is with you in spirit. And so I love that. And there was something else you said. I was like,
I think, just if I could comment something, you kind of, one of the most, and I'm sorry about your brother. One of the most poignant things somebody said to me, and I think a lot of times people say it'll get better because they don't know what else to say.
For sure.
And they're trying to give some sort of comfort. And I got to admit, one person in this time said to me, gosh, I'm really sorry about that. Tell me about a really happy memory. What stands out for you? And I thought, oh my God, what a brave thing to say, leaning in and allowing me to share a moment of joy with my mother. And then, I had to say, and I didn't break down into tears. Yeah, I was misty-eyed, but it was just, I thought it was such a really nice thing to do, to lean into it, to allow me a moment to think about the joy. So, I want to say that I think that, I can't be mad at my friends for trying to figure out what to say, and, bully for them for being brave and trying to step in and wade in, knowing that I'm in this massive sadness and depression. But that really stood out for me. And it's something that I have done since with my friends is just saying, do you mind sharing what's a great memory you'd like to share? And if not, no worries.
Yeah.
If it's going to make sense, if that's not a thing you want to do right now, that's cool too. But giving that opening, I got to admit, it was pretty staggering. And I remember that. I remember it to this day.
Yeah. I tried to pick up lessons. I lost a lot of people young. What is the best thing to do or say? And one thing I always think about is, I love that. I love share a good memory is like, don't just visit and check on that person right away. Wait 3 weeks, 3 months, and circle back, because grief is a life journey. Grief doesn't just come and then gone. I get heartbroken again over my brother, and it's been 30 years, but there are days that it's like, oh my gosh. And then there's other days like, nope, I'm okay. But those are the people, that sweetness. So do you think happiness is an inside job? Does it come from the inside out, or is it based on what's happening around us from the outside in?
I think it's got to start inside. I mean, I will say this, that I feel, because again, it's back to like, my mind is what plays more tricks on me than anything. So I've got to get my mind in a place where I remember that all the things that I'm grateful for, all the things that I love about living, even when it's hard. And no, I think outside stuff, I won't come back and say that it isn't, that, what's going on around you doesn't affect you inside.
For sure.
My mom's death, like if you're in a job that you hate, look, that's going to affect you internally. There's no way that it can't.
That's right.
But I do think that ultimately we got to look inside, and again, all of those things, like recognize those things that bring us joy. I walk into my glitter room. Again, I live in New Orleans, just to preface that. So
to have a glitter room
is not weird down here. So I go into my glitter room and go, oh man, I'm so glad to be in here. Am I the luckiest slob in the world to have a second bedroom that's nothing but like wigs and costumes and glitter and just joy. It's like I expect a unicorn to jump out of the closet. Because it's my real happy place. And I think it's about not losing that perspective that I am really grateful to have this. And this does bring me joy. And let me lean into this. And that helps me, even if I have a difficult client or something on the outside that really upsets me or gets me, puts me off or something. So, I think it is an inside job, to use your words, but it is affected by the outside. So what's your go-to that's going to make you happy? Is it reading? Is it burning a candle? Is it doing yoga? Is it meditating? Is it, running? I mean, if I'm running, it's because Godzilla's behind me, but, where's your happy place, and how can you incorporate that when you find that external factors start affecting you internally?
That's right. For the good and the bad, right? And
Yeah.
I think you are like the girl host that everyone wants to have this grown-up slumber party at, and we play dress up in costumes and have a slumber party. And glittery. I love that. So
you are exactly right.
I'm like, okay, mental notes, slumber party at Val's. Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. So is there a difference, and what is the difference between happiness and joy? People sometimes change those words. What do you think?
You actually, you would ask me that question. You'd give me a heads up that you were going to ask that question. And I have to admit, I had to look it up because I was like, I don't really know. So let me read you the textbook of what this says.
Oh, okay.
Joy is an inner feeling. Happiness is an outward expression. Joy endures hardship and trials and connects with meaning and purpose. A person pursues happiness, but chooses joy. I thought that was a really interesting definition. So I look at that and go, you know what? I'll take them both. Happiness, joy. I'm not going to get too hung up on the wording. I just know what gives me joy, what makes me happy. Those are things that I want to know what they are and pull them out, pull them out of the closet when I need them or when I'm struggling. And otherwise think about and try to lean into that stuff that I enjoy while I'm also doing the things that I have to do to pay bills and life and all of that.
I love that you looked it up. It tells me a lot about your brain. I think that's very funny because Val, I've probably asked 20 people that question, and some people are like, this is joy, this is happy. Some people are black and white. Some people are like, I think it's this, I think it's that. I always think joy is from the inside out. Joy is about who we are and how we show up in the midst of the challenging and the wonderful. Joy is who we are. Happiness is about how it comes out and what's around us and the glitter and the bubbles. And for me, the rainbows and Santa Claus and whatever it is, the magical part of life. But I don't
Right.
think there's a right or wrong answer, but I love that you looked it up.
I did indeed, because I'm like, I don't have the slightest idea. I'm like, is there a difference? I don't know. I feel joy. I feel happiness every day. So
yeah, I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer, but you
both.
yeah, I like it. I like it. I love that you looked it up because I think I've asked so many people, and some people are like happiness is this, and some people are like, oh, I don't know, but I love it. You really wanted to know, and it's a good definition, right? There's a difference, there's a similarity. It's good for people to know. So
Yep.
what steals your happiness? Because to me, you bubble joy, you bubble happiness. You are a fun and big and beautiful like energy in the world that you just bring this like laughter and lightness to the hard stuff. And I think people are really drawn to you, Val, because you do radiate happiness. You do radiate, I am fabulous. Here I am. Let's do this thing. So what steals Val's joy? Because people would guess you wake up in the middle of the night and say, I am fabulous. Look at me now.
So
Here I go. So.
I can tell you this, that my goal in life, and then I'll come back to your question about what steals my happiness. My goal in life is to leave people better for having been around me for 5 minutes, because I don't know what their journey is. And I know that their journey may be tough. They may be having an awful day. And I want people who are around me for 5 minutes to walk away, having me help to hopefully lighten their load, feel better about themselves. That is a very, very strong goal of mine. So very rarely do I get around people and it's not an act. I'm not doing it for anything other than I like making people feel better about themselves. Yeah. And because I think we need more of that in the world. And lots of people stand there and tear you down, but I want people so I think that's why people are drawn to me, because people do walk away feeling better having been in my company. And that's a choice that I make. So, what steals my happiness? The usual suspects, backstabbing, dishonesty, people who are not nice. I will say that when money gets tight, I get stressed. So that can chip away at my happiness. And I think that when it really happens, though, is when I let my mind ruminate on it. I think it's it's that going over and over. Wow, I can't believe she said that. Or reading a text, going, what exactly did he mean by that text? Or wow, they didn't get back to me in soon enough time. What's that all about? So again, it's that just stopping. I have a creative mind, and so the challenge is I don't you don't come back and go, wow, they didn't respond because they're having a joyous day. It's like, well, what are they doing ignoring me? And so I just have to stop any sort of rhetoric in my head. My mind can steal joy all by itself. And when I feel that, it's just, again, brute forcing myself to say, you're making it up. You're extrapolating. You have no idea. You have no idea what's going on. It's like when your boss calls you into the office and you're, in work. You don't think, wow, they're going to tell me something great. Oh God, what did I do? What are they asking about? What did I not do right? It's, about that idea about being called into the principal's office instead of coming back. And so now my mind's like going crazy thinking of all the bad things they could tell me.
Yeah.
When instead it's, I don't know. Stop your mind from spinning out of control and focus right here. And so again, the usual suspects about friends being, we talked a little bit about friends, and, our friends who are closest to us can say things that hurt us. And the question is, do we ruminate on that, or do we acknowledge that things are different and move forward? And if I allow my mind to ruminate on it too much, that'll steal my happiness. And I think it's just about that, really choosing to not focus on that, and instead sort of focusing on those things that bring me happiness. Now that doesn't necessarily mean, look, I want negative feedback. If I as a friend, if I'm doing something to hurt you, I really want to know that.
Yeah.
And it may make me sad, but I'm gonna then adjust my attitude. So I don't shy away from challenging conversations or conflict, but I want to have them in the sense of having a discussion that I can go forward, being a better person, interchanging with you or doing my job or whatever.
Yeah. I think
So
it's about that
not really
intention.
shirking reality. I find it to
Yeah.
be, though, I think there's a difference between reality and the fact that, all right, I'm ruminating on this too much, let it go.
And that's that intentional living, Val, right? Like you're going back
Yeah,
to your
love it.
thoughts. You're going back to how you want to live. I love how you started this by saying, my intention, my goal every day is to leave people better than I found them. And I think that's one of my goals. I think that's why I just resonate with you so well, is that I'm posting every day on some form of social media. And some people say, why do you do that? Or you don't need to do that. Or you're right. I don't need to, and I don't have to. But if I touch one person's life, one person, just
Yeah.
one, and make them feel seen or valued or hopeful, whatever it is, or a little happier, or they laugh at me or with me, I don't care. And just this week, I got a private message from someone on Facebook, and she said, "You have no idea." It almost makes me cry when I get to
Right.
hear the words, but you have no idea how much your post every day makes a difference in my life. I'm really struggling, but I look forward to you. And I thought, you do leave
There
people
you go.
better, Val. And I think you being intentional and capturing your own thoughts, because we have to first start with ourselves. Am I beating myself up? Am I being negative? Do I have negative people in my life? Or am I doing okay? And can
Yeah.
I, because I want to be my best so I can leave people better. So I love that you first talked about how you show up every day. And I believe that about you. I feel that about you. I think you absolutely do leave people better. That's why I was so excited to have you as a guest. People are going to watch this and they're going to laugh and they're going to smile and they're going to be struggling and find like, you know what, I'm still okay. And life is hard and it's okay to be sad, but there's happy, whether it's glitter or whatever it is. So what are you most happy about personally in your life? And what are you most happy about in your career?
Oh my goodness. So what am I most happy about
Or
personally?
looking forward to, yeah.
Oh my God, are you kidding? Mardi Gras coming back. You have no idea how much of a of just like life opening back up. I mean, I moved to New Orleans. And I have to admit, I moved to New Orleans. I was in New York City for 18 years and in Manhattan, and the joy was out of it. And it really was about finding a surrounding that in a life that I would like more. And I moved to New Orleans thinking I'd be here for 6 months, and I just hit my 6-year anniversary.
Wow.
And I love it. And it brings me joy to live here because I'm not working any less intent, but my surrounding environment is just more low key, more, le bon temps roulé, which is, sort of let it roll, let life live. And I just, where I live brings me joy. And I'm just beyond, again, if you're not from here, it may sound weird, but Mardi Gras is 3 months of just absolute joy in New Orleans. And to have that back, I'm really, really looking forward to that. And again, just being with my friends, I can tell you
3 months
again.
It's not just Fat Tuesday.
Oh, no. Yeah, see, again, Mardi Gras kicks off January 6th. It is 3 months of joy. Yeah, Fat Tuesday is March 1st. So that's one day. It's joy all the way up till then. So, and it just gets more intense as it gets closer.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I didn't know this.
Yeah, I'll take I'll take every Thursday through Sunday off in February leading up to Fat Tuesday. And then the week before Fat Tuesday, I'm out that whole week. So, because there's stuff going on every day. So it's ridiculous. So
I'm going to follow you this year because I didn't know that. I thought it was like Fat Tuesday.
No. Yeah. So it's a really joyous time to be here. And I think personally, I will come back and say that being able to see my family again. My brother lives in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and being able to see him and my 10-year, they just turned 10 yesterday. I have twin nieces.
Oh.
Being able to see them, it's just different. So I am really getting out there and seeing folks again and seeing family again, which has just brought staggering joy. And then I guess professionally, look, I love what I do. I love the freedom of what I do. I don't love every one of my clients. Many I endure because they're not fun. But I get paid and my schedule is more at my own pace. And I needed, partly why I did this, or big driver for why I went out on my own, was because my mom got sick and needed more assistance. So I needed a job. You can't work in corporate America and then have to go down to Indiana and take care of somebody for a month or for a week or a month. You just can't do that. So I really had to set a lifestyle that allowed me more flexibility. And it's really led to a lot of the happiness in my life, because I have a job that if I want to go to lunch, I don't have to ask a boss, can I take an extended lunch? Yeah. Now I work longer hours than I ever did in corporate America, but I am working for myself. And I've kind of set my life up to really contain elements of what I love and what brings me joy. Again, It's not every day, because I got clients that I really just like working with, but it still fits in my lifestyle. So there are elements of things that there are elements that are great, even as sometimes it's not as joy bringing as one might like. But again, I focus on the fact that, yeah, there's annoyances, but it still brings me joy based on the fact of it fits around my schedule.
Yeah.
So I think what we're seeing, to be honest, a lot of this whole great resignation everybody's talking about, people are tired of working in jobs that they hate or with bosses that they hate.
Yeah.
And I think, and again, if you hate your job, there's no way that can't come back and affect your happiness and affect your happiness, right?
Yeah, affect you, affect your company, affect your work. And when people say, don't motivate them so much, Annie, they all want to quit. And I say, well, if they don't want to be here, they're not giving you their best. So let them go. But I also think as an entrepreneur for many years, people say, that work in corporate America, I had to work 40 or 50 hours a week. And I'm like, oh, what a nice break for you. They're like,
oh my God. That's like a vacation. Are you kidding?
As we kind of close up here, Val, is there one last story about happiness? Is there something that you remember, something you want to share to our listeners about a way you found happiness or joy, or something, just a story that you want to close with before we shut down this H3 TV?
I guess what I would prefer to end with, if you wouldn't mind, is we're so harsh on ourselves. What if we showed the same compassion that we have for others? What if we showed that same compassion to ourselves? How would our happiness quotient improve? And I'm my own worst critic. I don't need people to, people can tell me I need to improve here or there, but trust me, I'm way harder on myself than others are. And I know that, and I see that. And I think that, again, if we were as nice to ourselves as we are to other people.
So I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to stop you there, Val, and challenge you, because I want to know, when was a time you were nice? When was a time you stopped yourself from being so harsh on yourself and started celebrating who you are? If you're going to challenge us to do that, I want to know when.
Today's Wednesday, December 8th.
Yes.
Monday and Tuesday night at 3 a.m. when I woke up, all I did was focus on what I had not gotten done. And I put on some beautiful music that played, and I sat there and wrote down. I have paper next to my bed, and I wrote down, what are 3 things I am grateful for? What are 3 things that I did right today? And it's like, well, let me write down 3 things that I could do better. No. What are 3 things I'm grateful for? What are 3 things that I did well today? And sometimes the only thing I can think of is that I made the bed. and sometimes that's as good as it gets. But I did something positive today. I did something that I liked, and so and guess what? It was because I had worked. I worked till 10:30 Monday night. I worked till 9:30 Tuesday night, and last night I stopped myself at 8 o'clock. I went in and I glittered, and then I came back out and read for an hour, and then went to bed. And I slept. I still woke up at 3 o'clock, but I woke up going, oh wow, all right, I just have to go to the bathroom. Let me just go to the bathroom, and then went and fell back asleep, and did not let that negative rhetoric take over. So it's a daily struggle. Like I mean,
It is.
Again, I could tell you I'm 90% joyous, but the 10% is vicious.
I love that though.
I am harsh on myself.
Because I love that you're challenging our listeners, but I also always want you to show them, because I think sometimes people think it's easy for us.
Oh,
Sometimes
God,
people think,
yeah.
well, you're in the public eye. Well, people love you. No, it's challenging for all of us. We all have to have strategies and ideas on how to do this and how to keep doing it over and over again. So I love that you challenge people. I love that you shared your authentic self of you are doing this yourself, whether it's great music or a great book or journaling or stopping that brain and saying, no, I want to hear something good. Enough with the negative.
Yep.
I want to hear something good. I love it all. So Val, I bet people love you. I bet people have heard you and they have laughed and they have felt connected, and you have brought joy and happiness into their life. So how could they get a hold of you if they want more of you? They want to hear you speak. They want to have you train. They just want to be your friend. They want to coach with you. How could they get a hold of you? What's the best way?
Love it. Yes to all the above. So my website is valgrub&associates with an s.com. My email is vgrub@valgrubandassociates.com. That brings me no happiness that I have such a gigantic email address. I will say that. But by the time I went back to buy vgrub@vga.com, that was already taken. And I'm like, dang it. So vgrub@valgrubandassociates.com. Or valgrubandassociates.com is my website address. And you can see my sizzle reel and more.
Are you on LinkedIn, Val? Are you active on LinkedIn?
Yep, I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on all those things. So
awesome. Well, Val, I'm going to tag you on this. And if you could write maybe your 3 to 5 keys in the comments, if you could write share your links, whatever it is in the comments. I so appreciate you being here with us today. And I know my listeners, I just thank you for tuning in again for H3 TV, where we share hope, health, and happiness, because we all could use just a little bit more.
bye.